All right, thank you all for tuning in to WGHC 98.3 FM, your voice of music, your station. My name is Jeff Badu, and I'm a parallel entrepreneur and a wealth multiplier. I'm the founder and CEO of Badu Enterprises, which is a multinational conglomerate in the finance industry. And what we do is we provide a suite of financial services, such as tax, financial coaching, property tax appeals, and things of that nature. So today we'll be talking about scholarships. Basically, it's I remember 10 years ago, literally about 10 years ago, back in 2010 was when I started college at the U of I, University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. And basically this was this was a part of the time where I was applying for scholarships, basically getting my finances together in order to successfully attend the institution. I actually almost turned down my offer to U of I because I felt that they weren't giving me enough money. Basically, the financial aid process was significantly delayed, and so I almost had to turn down an offer because of that fact, because of course you need money in order to go to college. So with that being said, you know, it's very important that you get the right type of funding when you're going to college. One of the best ways to get funding is to apply for as many scholarships as you possibly can. And that's exactly what I did, and I ended up graduating college after my master's program with $0 in student loan debt. It wasn't like I was given a full ride scholarship or anything like that. I simply looked out for resources and consistently applied. When I was a high school senior, I applied for about 100 scholarships. And usually the average person doesn't even know about 100 scholarships, but me personally, I physically submitted an application to 100 scholarships. And what happened was I continuously compiled this list, and I just kept applying and applying for the ones that I qualified for. Through hard work and perseverance, I ended up graduating from my master's program at the U of I with $0 in student loan debt. So today I'll be giving away some tips and tricks to those who are college students, even those who are perhaps about to go to college or in their graduate or some sort of doctorate or master's program. So this is, nowadays everybody's out there seeking education. I still go through education myself, not necessarily through the college route, but I do go through trainings, continue professional education, a lot of videos, and just I'm always consistently developing. So although I'm not in the classroom or anything like that, I'm always consistently developing. And also I'm teaching through my organization, such as the Badu Foundation, which we hosted. Our first program this Saturday was very, very successful. Students learned a lot. I've heard that one of the students learned how to play Cash Flow, which is one of the games that we play, and they're now beating everybody in their family. And I won't be ashamed to mention this. I actually was beat by one of the students in the game of Cash Flow. We were literally in the last round of Cash Flow where you get out of the rat race, and he somehow landed on his dream and won the game. Basically, in the game of Cash Flow, once you land on your dream or you reach over $50,000 in passive income on a monthly basis after you've gotten out of the rat race, then you basically win the game. So he literally, I don't know how he did it. whether it was through luck, whether it's through fate, ended up landing on the dream, which is to build a stock market for kids, which is also my dream. So it was quite impressive to watch a student that you've taught beat you at your own game, which I was very impressed, and I was very happy and satisfied. So we'll continue this Saturday with the program. We're teaching kids from ages 6 to 18 on how to build wealth and how to create abundance in their lives. And I guarantee you that student that beat me in cash flow, he's about to create wealth. I mean, like crazy. Can you imagine? I basically taught him the concepts as we were going along in the game as to how you can borrow money to buy real estate to get more wealthy. Right? His initial concept was that, oh yeah, don't ever borrow money because loans are bad, because he's heard loans were bad. Right? He's been always listening to parents, listening to that negative influence, always in the back of your ear, telling you things that are actually good for you. Or telling you things that are not necessarily good for you, and finding a way around that. So now learning this concept that you can use somebody else's money to make more money, I guarantee you he's going to use that concept and take it for the rest of his life. And the Badu Foundation is a lifetime program, meaning that you get to repeat the course every single year up until the age of 18, where you get to become an instructor of the course at the age of 18. So we're definitely looking to continuously have more students in the program. Our first program is this year. We'll have another one next year. And it's been great. It's been fun teaching the kids. It's been fabulous. And of course, the winner, whoever demonstrates the most financial literacy, will get a $500 scholarship. And in the future, we're hoping that all of the students will get a $500 scholarship. And then also, we will be launching our homeless curriculum either next year or 2 years from now, depending on how COVID-19 wants to act. So if COVID-19 goes quote unquote away by next year, then we'll launch the homeless curriculum, where we're live with the homeless, teaching them about money principles and how to own a home, essentially, or how to buy real estate. So from homeless to home full. That's basically the tagline of the curriculum. And then a few other things too. This week we do have a few events. So tomorrow we'll be doing a Badu Tax Services Opportunities webinar, where you get to find out some of the opportunities that we have available. The firm is growing. We're at 30 strong, so we have 30 people within the firm, and we're continuously growing every single year or every single month. So we're basically, we have different roles that are open, and we'll be going through that tomorrow. That's from 12 to 1 Central via Zoom. If you can check on my Facebook page or Instagram, I've posted it on there. Also on Wednesday, my book is officially launching, although it's available on Amazon. It's called Infinite Expansion: How to Infinitely Expand Your Vision of Abundance. It's available on Amazon right now, but we will officially be launching the book on Wednesday, this Wednesday, August 5th, and that's from 6:30 to 8:30. So you can feel free to come through. You may see some celebrities on there. Don't quote me on that, but it's an exciting time. It was a book written before the pandemic, but ironically, it was written for the pandemic. Somehow, some way, the pandemic became relevant to the book, even though it was literally written before the pandemic. Like, the content and everything was created before we even knew about this whole pandemic thing, but it was launched timely because we are in the pandemic right now. Last but not least, on Thursday, we'll be having a tax tips for realtors. So all those real estate agents out there, from 12 to 1 Central via Zoom, we'll be doing that as well. The book launch is also via Zoom, by the way. So we have 3 events this week, on top of our weekly radio show tonight. So a lot of things going on. This week is busy. My birthday is next week. I'm turning 28 next Friday. Very excited for that. My birthday is a day that I treat literally like a U.S. holiday. So I'll be celebrating with some friends and loved ones and everything like that. So definitely looking forward to that. It's a great month. August is my favorite month of the year. Not only is it my birthday month, it's also the last official month of the summer. So it's a month where a lot of activities tend to go on, weddings and things of that nature. So I love August just for what it is. And then it also happens to be a birthday month. Shout out to all the Leos that's out there. So let's kick it off with the market report as of July 31st, 2020. Equities continued their positive run on Mondays. So Mondays have tended to be a good day for the stock market. And ironically, today was a great day for the stock market. It just shot through the roof. Basically posting solid gains again to start last week. The technology sector led the NASDAQ to power ahead by 1.7%. The small caps of the Russell 2000 advanced 1.2%, and the large caps of the S&P 500 0.7%, the Dow 0.4%. So overall, the market went up on Monday. Crude oil prices and treasury yields rose while the dollar declined. Gold prices continued to soar as it reached its highest level in history. Just so you guys, in case you guys might have missed it, let me just repeat what I just said. Gold prices continued to soar as it reached its highest level in history. That means gold was at its highest price in the history of making gold. Gold has never been higher than last week, which is crazy. That means we're making history even during a pandemic, which is a possible indication that investors view the economy as stagnating. So from what I've noticed, that gold has an inverse relationship with the market. Although some people have said it's not true, and some days it's actually not true. But for the most part, when the market is down, gold tends to be up. That's the trend that I've noticed, at least. In a down market like the pandemic, gold prices tend to be higher because I do believe that the supply or the demand for gold is actually higher because people are looking for more natural, or they're looking for more things that you can actually hold and touch as opposed to stock market. While last Tuesday saw movement on further economic stimulus, that development didn't help stocks. So basically, the federal government is talking about a second round of stimulus, which you guys should watch out for. Talking about a second round of stimulus checks, PPP loans, unemployment, which is technically expired. So people are in deep trouble right now from an unemployment standpoint. Each of the benchmark indexes essentially lost value, giving back Monday's gains. Less than favorable quarterly earnings reports from some major companies sent shares tumbling. So earnings season hasn't looked too good so far for Q2. The NASDAQ was hardest hit, falling 1.3%, followed by the Russell 2000, which gave back 1.0%. The Dow, negative 0.8%. The S&P 500, negative 0.7%. Also fell last Tuesday. Crude oil prices dipped 1.5%. Treasury yields dropped while the dollar and gold rose. So gold is still on a run. Gold is just keep rising. After a slow start to the day, stocks rebounded last Wednesday following the Federal Reserve's announcement that interest rates will remain the same and economic stimulus will continue. So that's great news for investors typically. That means that it'll be cheaper, or it'll still be cheap to borrow money. Right now it's so cheap to borrow money. It's crazy. It's crazy how cheap it is to borrow money. It's 0% interest, benchmark interest rates, and then the bank adds on their interest. I'll give you an example. We just closed on a 10-unit building last month, and the interest rate on the loan is only 3.25%. Scary low. I mean, scary low. Can you imagine? It's only costing us 3.25% of our money, 3.25% to borrow that money, and the building makes capitalization rate is about 9.75%. So we're literally getting 3.25%, or we're paying 3.25%, but we're making 9.75%. So that's a spread of about 6% or 6.5%, which is pretty good. That's how we typically make investments worthwhile. Cash on cash return on a deal is about 21%. So it's a great time to borrow money if you know what to do with it and if you need it. So great time to be buying real estate. It's a great time to be an investor right now. I couldn't think of a better time right now to be an investor. Some people are scared out of their minds. They're selling like crazy. I'm like, one man's loss is another man's gain. If you're willing to lose, I'm willing to gain. So right now we're in strong acquisition mode on the real estate side. We're looking to buy real estate in bulk. So any multifamilies, 10 plus units, we're looking to acquire. But back to the report. Ultimately, the Dow rose 0.6%, S&P 500 advanced 1.3%, and the Nasdaq gained 1.4%. Crude oil prices climbed while the dollar and treasury yields fell. Last Thursday was very interesting. Now, this is very important news, what I'm about to say. Last Thursday proved to be another tough day for stocks. Only the Nasdaq, composed mainly of technology stocks, tech just keeps booming this year. There's nothing that's stopping tech, and there's nothing that's showing a sign that it will stop tech. Tech was hot 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and tech is still hot today. Tech will be hot next year. I guarantee you the Nasdaq will be up over 10% even next year. I haven't seen a year where the Nasdaq was lower than 10% for a while. I mean, it's almost impossible if you think about how much the tech industry is actually booming and will continue to boom. Amazon, Apple, Tesla, Microsoft, you name it, they're going up in value, so you should probably invest in it if it's going up in value. But ultimately, Nasdaq rose 0.4% by the end of trading. The remaining benchmark indexes fell behind, led by the Dow, which dipped 0.9%, followed by the global Dow, which landed negative 0.8% in the red. And then also both the S&P 500 and the Russell 2000 lost 0.4%. Investors received little encouraging news on the day, and to say little is actually quite an understatement. My goodness. A consensus has yet to be reached on the next round of government pandemic relief. Now get this right here. The second quarter GDP saw the economy regress at a rate of nearly 33%. Let me just take a step back and repeat what I just said. The second quarter GDP, gross domestic product, which basically measures how much a country is producing in a given year or in a given period of time, saw the economy regress, meaning it fell back. It dropped 33%. Now, that is actually pretty scary. In the first quarter, it was down only 5%, and that was the first time it dropped in 10 years. Second quarter, 33%. And if you guys may recall, it was about 3 months ago, literally around this time, 3 months ago, I mentioned that the U.S. economy would be in a recession by the month of August, or the end of July, essentially. And guess what? The U.S. economy is officially in a recession. Now, these numbers weren't even as bad in the Great Depression, the worst time in the history of the U.S. And now we have 33%. Companies such as Neiman Marcus, Men's Warehouse, all filing bankruptcy left and right. Every single day we're hearing a company filing bankruptcy. GDP fell down 33% in the U.S. in Q2. That is very scary. That puts us in a recession. And to be quite frank, it would be very, very fair to say this is a Great Depression. And you're probably wondering, well, why in the world is the stock market still up? Well, I mean, that, to be completely honest, is still a bit puzzling. If the fact that U.S. companies are producing less and the stock market is still up, that means the stock market is significantly overpriced right now. Does that mean stop investing? Absolutely not. Take what you can. Right? Get what you can. Buy the right type of companies, because as long as you're buying the right type of companies, you won't necessarily lose, or you might lose, but it won't be a whole lot, or it won't be for forever. It won't be for a long period of time. What goes up must come down. What comes down must go right back up when it comes to the stock market. So nothing is permanent in the market. But 33% GDP drop is very scary. It's very scary. That means the U.S. is in a recession. A recession, by definition, is 2 straight quarters of decline in GDP, or gross domestic product. So the U.S. economy is officially in a recession. And that was pretty easy to predict. If Q1 was so bad, and Q2, when Q1 results were reported, companies were already saying, well, this quarter is pretty much a wash. Then it was very easy to predict. However, the stock market has actually gone up during that period of time. So for those that are scared or skeptical to get in the market, this is probably a good time to get in. Buy the right companies. Do your research. Make sure you do your research. But it does appear that certain companies, at least, are overvalued in the stock market. The stock market is all supply and demand. It's who's buying and who's selling. That's all. If the people that are looking to buy are higher, then it's higher stock prices, higher demand. If the people that are looking to buy are lower, it's lower demand. So it's lower stock prices. The stock market is very simple economics. There are a few other things you need to know, but it's more economics than anything. A few other things. Claims for unemployment insurance increased for the second straight week. That's not a surprise. A lot of people are filing for unemployment. More layoffs are happening, and that's why we need a second round of PPP or Paycheck Protection Program loans to bail out businesses. The week ended with tech stocks surging. Typical. Driving the NASDAQ ahead 1.5% by the close of trading last Friday. Positive earnings reports from some major market movers or major market moving companies helped drive stocks higher. Despite mixed overall earnings results, worries about economic recovery and increase in virus cases. So COVID-19 cases have been going up. So of course that's something that worries investors. But nowadays we're kind of used to the new normal now. I mean, will we ever get back to the quote unquote old normal? And what's normal defined, by the way? I mean, like what's the true definition of normal? Right, according to the world we live in. Is normal what the standard is at the present time, or is normal what we had before? Because if you're thinking about it, then in that case, in the past, we didn't have smartphones, right? We didn't have cell phones where you can touch your screen. So does that mean that we're not normal per se, or does that mean that we're adapting to a new environment? So when people say normal, they use the word normal. Like, normal is not in my definition. Ordinary is not in my definition. Comfortable is not in my definition. What's in my definition is uncomfortable, is adaptation, and it's progression. Those are the three words that are usually in my vocabulary. So when we're adapting to a new environment, then a lot of people tend to get stuck in their ways that they're so used to. And I don't blame some folks for doing this, but you have to realize that times change. Things change over time. Things don't stay the same. If things stayed the same, the world wouldn't be fun. The world wouldn't be what it is. So we have to continuously adapt. We have to continuously get better. And COVID-19, unfortunately, although it is destroying a lot of things, it is actually making certain things better. And it is creating new opportunities for people to take advantage, such as taking advantage of the stock market. So this whole thing about normal should not be something in your vocabulary. It should rather be, how do we adapt to the new environment? How do we get used to the quote-unquote new normal? And that's how these companies are doing so well, such as Amazon, Apple, Tesla, Microsoft. They were built to be adapting to the new normal. And you know what they say, if you're not growing, or if you're not, basically if you're not growing, then what are you doing? Right, that's the general concept. But overall, the NASDAQ rebounded from a poor start to close last week, up 3.7%. S&P 500 climbed 1.7%. Followed by the Russell 2000, and then also, which advanced 0.9%. The Dow, negative 0.2%. The Global Dow, 1.2%, which ended last week in the red. Year to date, the NASDAQ is no longer the only benchmark index in the black. Ladies and gentlemen, the S&P 500 has entered the black at 1.25% ahead of its 2019 year-end value. Price of crude oil went down 40.58 per barrel to 40.41. The price of COMEX gold went up 18.99.60 to 19.80.90. Gold is almost at $2,000 per ounce. All right, that's huge. That is huge. So if you own a gold brick right now, you're doing pretty good. you probably don't want to keep some gold in your house or anything like that. Like as far as like the bricks themselves, you probably want to keep it in a storage somewhere where it's safe. But ultimately, if you somehow own a gold brick, then you are doing pretty good in life right now. So far, the Dow Jones is down 7.39% this year. NASDAQ is up 19.76%. That's where the technology stocks fall into. So NASDAQ is up almost 20% so far this year. S&P 500, congratulations for those that are in the index. You're up 1.25% even in a recession. Man, that is huge. I can't believe it. I mean, I'm just shocked reading these results to you right now. Russell 2000 is down 11.27%. The Global Dow is down 10.17%. And benchmark interest rates are at a dead 0%. 10-year treasuries are 0.53%. I mean, crazy low. So what does this tell me? It tells me the market is overpriced first and foremost. Mainly because of the fact that the economy is technically doing bad right now, but the stock market is actually doing good. Now, it does make sense that the top 500 companies in the U.S., the S&P 500, is actually up. It does make sense that technology stocks are up because they can still produce, even though we're in a health pandemic or a global pandemic such as COVID-19. So those things actually do make sense. But overall, I do think there's definitely some inflation, or the stock market is a bit inflated. You can still make money. Don't get me wrong. So my take in reality is you can still get into the market. Just really, really, really do your research on some of these companies, because I do believe some of them are overpriced right now. Companies like Apple, Amazon, Google, they're great. I mean, you can literally put in money. Just take your eyes off your account for the next 5 years. Your money would have at least tripled in all of those companies. I guarantee you that. Right? That I'm not concerned at all. I'm willing to bet my entire money on the line and say something like that. Right? So, because I know how these companies perform, and I know what these companies are destined to do. And with that being said, their stock prices will go up in the future. It's without a doubt. Right? I have extreme confidence in these companies because they're the ones that are powering what we're doing today. Facebook Live, Instagram Live, which is owned by Facebook. If it wasn't for these two companies, or this one company actually, Facebook, which owns Facebook and Instagram, we wouldn't be able to stream live right now. All this equipment that you see right here, all the tech that you see, it's all powered by technology companies. So they're not going anywhere anytime soon. All right. So eye on the week ahead. The first week of August focuses on manufacturing, international trade, and employment. Purchasing managers reported growth in the manufacturing sector in June as more businesses open in July. It is expected that the latest report for July will show further growth in manufacturing. So people are actually manufacturing more. The international trade in goods and services deficit was $55 billion in May, probably because they've shut down a lot of borders. The deficit is expected to narrow slightly for June. There are 4.8 million new jobs added in June, which is crazy. Although average earnings fell 1.2%. July is expected to see a slight drop in the number of new jobs created compared to June. So there you have it. That's the market. Take it for what you can. Just please be on the lookout for news. Be on the lookout for the new stimulus package that's set to come out pretty soon. And really just be careful in the companies you invest in. Now is the time to really do your research in the companies you buy. Buy companies that will be here for a long time. Buy companies that are doing good and are set to do even better in the future. Not just because some stock price is high right now doesn't mean that it will just keep going high. Right? Do your research. If it's a good company, it will certainly keep going higher. So let's talk about scholarships. A wise man once told me you cannot win a scholarship unless you apply for one. So nobody's just about to hand you money. Ultimately, basically, here's the thing. Nobody will just hand you money without you actually applying for it when it comes to scholarships. Scholarships is a game where you have to be proactive. It's not one of those, they'll just give you the money and that's it. you actually have to be proactive. You actually do have to apply for the scholarship. And that's the only way that you win. When I was a high school senior at Uplift Community High School, from 2006 to 2010, in my senior year, I applied for a lot of scholarships, about 100, give or take. And out of the 100, I won about 6 of them. Right? It wasn't enough to cover all of my funding. I had to take out a $5,000 loan, student loan. However, by the time I graduated from graduate school, I actually ended up without any student loan debt because I used the scholarship money that I had accumulated and won over time to actually pay off any student loans. I also took some of that money and put it into the stock market, bought GE, General Electric, the very first stock I bought back in 2013. I was literally laying in bed back in college, and I was scared out of my mind, but I was so anxious. I was like, I need to get into the market. I had done so much research on GE, literally pulled their 5-year projections, literally drilled down their reports and everything like that, and I said, I have to get in. I'm proud to say that 2 years later, I doubled my money, so $2,300 went to $4,600, plus I made about $400 in dividends, and I didn't pay any taxes on the profit that I made. From that day forward, I knew that the stock market or investing is where I needed to be. I'm like, this is a good game right here. This is where I need to be. So ultimately, you cannot win a scholarship unless you apply for one. So it's very important to note that. Remember, this is for aspiring college students, so those who are about to go to college, current college students, whether you're undergrad or graduate, and maybe you're a parent who has kids that are about to go to college. So this is applicable to almost everyone that's listening right now. There are 4 phases to successfully winning a scholarship. This is the 4-phase model that I followed. I applied for 100 scholarships my first year, and then my second year toned it down to about 50 because that's all I could qualify for. While some people might have been partying and doing I can't lie, I partied a lot in college. But there's a time and place for everything. So I dedicated some time to actually sit down and apply for certain scholarships, mainly the ones that I already knew about. So here's the 4-phase process to successfully winning a scholarship. It's finding the scholarship. That's the first thing. You need to find the money. Second is apply. Remember, you can't win a scholarship unless you apply for it. Third is the waiting period. So is that magical phase where you have to wait until you hear back. And then ultimately winning the scholarship, right? That's the fun part. That's where we all want to be, but you can't get to the end unless you start from the beginning. Right? It's a marathon and not a sprint when it comes to scholarships, and oftentimes a lot of things in life as well. So the first thing is finding. Where do you find scholarships? Google. Literally, Google certain keywords that are relevant to you. Freshman in college, full ride scholarship, right? Left-handed, City of Chicago scholarships, University of Illinois scholarships, FAFSA, financial aid. I mean, you'll be surprised what you can find on Google just by sitting down, dedicated 30 minutes, writing down some keywords and actually searching, looking up your top 5 sources and writing some things down and taking some notes. So the first thing is you do a Google search of some keywords that are relevant to you. If you're a sophomore, then research sophomore scholarships. If you're a doctorate, if you're in medical school, research medical school scholarships. What I've come to find out, there's often a scholarship for everybody, basically. Everybody, whether your GPA is lower than the average. So ultimately, search for scholarships that are in your major. Right, so accounting, pre-med, pre-law, whatever it is, your class level, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, undergrad, graduate, your race. So there are scholarships for African American, Latino, things of that nature. And then, or anything that you identify with, whatever it is, LGBT, it's whatever you identify with, male, female, left-handed, right-handed. You'll be surprised. You'll be very surprised what you'll find out there on the internet. And a lot of scholarships out there actually don't even get applied for. I'm like, man, where was I when all this free money was laying around? It's crazy. thankfully for me, fortunate enough for me, I took advantage of all of those programs. I didn't leave a single penny on the table. And that's how I treat life today. I don't leave a single penny on the table. Ask your financial aid office, right? Or even if you're in high school, ask your high school counselor, or visit your college's website, because they oftentimes have scholarships directly on that website. College of Business, for example, they open up the scholarship. I believe it was around winter break every year, and the first year I didn't know about it, so I unfortunately didn't apply. The second year, though, I was all over it, and I believe I won about $5,000 through the College of Business scholarships. And it was one of those grandfather scholarships, meaning as long as you apply for it, they'll continuously choose you as the winner, basically. So ultimately, ask your financial aid office, visit your school's website, and just ask. Seek and ye shall find. You'll be surprised what you might actually find if and only if you ask. Ask the people you know. Individuals such as your advisor, counselor, mentor, members of your organization can and will help you find the money. They can also help you write letters or write letters of recommendations for you. You can check out jeffbadu.com, where we have a lot of scholarships. And if you are a part of the Badu Foundation, so in the youth curriculum, we actually give out a $500 scholarship to the student that demonstrates good financial literacy, knowledge, or skill set after going through the program. So we also give out scholarships. I give out a scholarship through NABA, National Association of Black Accountants. So you'd be surprised who's giving out scholarships. Right? You'd be surprised. Me personally, I've given out thousands of dollars in scholarships to the organizations that I care about that helped me when I was going through my journey. And NABA's motto is lifting as we climb. And so for me, it was very important to give out scholarships through NABA. And now we're giving out scholarships through the Badu Foundation. Which, by the way, any and all donations to the Badu Foundation are fully tax deductible, because we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So that's something to note there. So the first step is actually finding a scholarship. The second step is you need to apply. Very critical. This is the most important step, to be honest. Apply for as many scholarships as possible. It is a numbers game when it comes to scholarships. The more you apply for, the higher your chances of winning. You have nothing to lose other than maybe a transcript fee, which sometimes they accept unofficial transcripts, a bit of your time, 30 minutes to an hour. What's 30 minutes to an hour of your time worth? Is it worth a $2,500 scholarship? Or is it worth sitting down and not getting anything, right? Or just sleeping all day in college? Once you've found all the scholarships that you potentially qualify for, please compile a list in an Excel spreadsheet or a Word document. Excel is preferred. Compile the list, put the deadlines next to them, and then put when you plan to apply for them, and then also put whether or not you've won those scholarships. Apply even if you aren't fully eligible. So maybe your GPA is slightly short. Just apply anyway. What do you have to lose, really? What do you really have to lose as a college student applying for a scholarship? No one else may be applying for that scholarship, so they might just give it to you. So that's very important. Be sure to complete your application in full. Don't be lazy. Don't be lazy. Apply, complete it in full. Be detailed. Be diligent. It's very, very important to have these things in mind. And submit all required materials to the correct address or to the correct email address, link, whatever it is. Nowadays, most scholarships are online. So thankfully, you don't really have to worry about sending it to the wrong address. But just, please, read the requirements. It's so simple. Just read it. If you don't understand something, ask. Remember, seek and ye shall find. All right, so basically, make sure that you are sending in, if they ask for 2 letters of recommendations, don't send them 1. If they ask for official transcript, don't send them an unofficial transcript, because you're cutting corners, saving an $8, I don't even know what the transcript fee is nowadays, $8 to $10 transcript fee. Or maybe they're asking you for, they might ask for an essay. That's 500 words. Don't send them an essay that's 400 words or 600 words. Send them one that's at 500 if you can, to the best of your ability. So get letter recommendations that are personal and specific to the scholarship as possible. So don't just use a generic letter recommendation. Try to make it tie to that scholarship. I would say Dean Jewel White is definitely somebody who helped me a ton in college. He was able to write me personal letter recommendations using the same template, but he didn't use the same letter. So he didn't just send one letter to 10 organizations. He actually took some time, went in there, and edited the letter recommendations. I thank him mightily to this day. Everything that he's done for me, for the College of Business. So big shout out to Dean Jewel White. He is definitely somebody who's awesome, and he helped me out a lot. Also mentors in NABA. I mean, I can go on and on about that. But get letter recommendations that are personal. Try to have your recommender send a letter directly to the scholarship organization to make the letter more convincing and more legitimate. Make your essay as concise and to the point as possible. Don't fluff. Don't put in a bunch of random details that they don't really care about. Put stuff that answers the question clearly and concisely. In life, I've learned that being clear and concise tends to work out better in your favor than being vague and being fluffy. Right? And I've been taught this lesson often in business, in the classroom, wherever it is, whatever concept it is in life. Try to be concise, try to be straight, try to be to the point. Put details where needed, but leave out details where not necessary. Right? So don't get too in depth about some of these things, because you can make the person that's reading it fall asleep, and they might forget all about your scholarship or your essay. Always remember, it's the simple things in life that make the biggest difference. It's no difference here. It is really the simple things in life that make the big difference. So please make sure when you apply, try to be thorough. Right? Make sure you meet all the requirements, answer all the questions in the application, and ultimately make sure you submit the application to the correct address. The next is the waiting period. This is a very important phase as well. Imagine sending an application to the wrong address, 124 Main Street instead of 123 Main Street. Next thing you know, you wait a month and you go on the scholarship's website and they announced all the winners. You're like, whoa, I didn't even hear back. They didn't even send me an email to let me know that I did win the scholarship. Come to find out, you sent it to the wrong address. I mean, that's got to be heartbreaking. And worst of all, it's a full ride scholarship to the Gates Foundation. And by the way, at someday, the Badu Foundation will be giving out full ride scholarships to college students. But always follow up. The money is made in the follow up. Big shout out to Eugene, who joined the live on Facebook. He said to my team, he coaches my team on marketing. He said, marketing and sales. He said, the money is made in the follow-up. I'll never forget that quote. And it is true here. The money is truly made in the follow-up. Sometimes they might just need something, but they didn't reach out to you. Or you might have sent it to the wrong address. They never got it. Maybe you sent it to the wrong email address. Maybe they put your application to the side, and just by calling them or emailing them, just gave them that nudge that, hey, please make sure you get my scholarship in. Follow up 2 weeks after applying for the scholarship, as long as it's before the deadline. So follow up at least 2 weeks before. If you don't receive any confirmation within that time frame. If you don't hear back, follow up again. Follow up a week after that. We typically follow up with an email. It's either, so I would say try to follow up with a phone call at first. So 2 phone calls. If that doesn't go through, follow up with an email. If that doesn't go through, write them a letter. And if that doesn't go through, well, hey, we've done all we can. We followed up. Eventually, you'll come to find out that if you've correctly applied for it and it's a good organization, then yes, they will let you know that, hey, your application is in process. We need additional details. It's very important. This is how I was able to go to college for free, is because I was very diligent in this process. And this is how I treat everything I do in life today. Whether it be my business, whether it be personal life, it's very important to be diligent and to be thorough as you do things in life. Best way to follow up is to call, and then you follow up with an email after that. Last but not least, hey, you won. You won the scholarship. Once you win a scholarship, it's always good to send a thank you letter or thank you email to the organization in the form of email or personal thank you letter. It means a lot, trust me. When you show gratitude, people will tend to give you more. And in my family, gratitude is one thing that we value a lot. Right? So I used to date somebody, and unfortunately that person didn't show a whole lot of gratitude. And so my mom was like, you need to watch out for this person. Lo and behold, we actually broke up because it was a situation where she didn't show a whole lot of gratitude. And it was just leading down a certain path that didn't go so well. So gratitude is very important. Show gratitude when you can. Just a simple thank you, simple saying, I really appreciate it. Just having that gratitude, because remember, you'll have to apply next year for the scholarship, most likely. And you'll be the first person they think about when they think about how great you were during the process and how much gratitude you showed throughout. Some scholarships have a grandfather clause where once you win the scholarship, you win again and again until you become ineligible for the scholarship. But missing simple things such as thanking the organization may prevent this from quote-unquote automatically happening. So it's all about relationships here. It's very important. You'll notice that these same concepts apply to life, a lot of things that you do in life as well. Always stay on top of it. Follow up. Keep track of these things. It's very important. So as a recap, in order to successfully win a scholarship, you must first find the scholarship, then you apply for the scholarship, then you wait and follow up during the waiting period, and last but not least, you win, which is where we all want to be. So with that being said, hope you all gained something out of the session today. Thank you all for tuning in to WGHC 98.3 FM, your voice, your music, your station. My name is Chef Badu, and I look forward to continuously delivering you all some content. Thank you.